Ghost of Tsushima, it is Sony's big breakout hit of a new IP, did extremely well, and it's also where we're going to see that they're really, well, swinging what they've got about the place because they know they can, in a way get away with it, but also it's pretty good value, but the interactions and the sort of reactions on this one have been super interesting. Now, so you guys know what the crack is with this format. News comes first. Don't worry, you'll be getting news quickly. If you want to leave after that, no worries. You're absolutely welcome to. The discussion will follow. So, I'm going to go and take everybody through the news because this one is very, very interesting. It helps us learn a lot about Sony's strategy. So I go down to the notes here. Basically, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is coming out, which is kind of funny because Ghost of Tsushima came out last summer. So already 1 year later, we are getting a Director's Cut that does involve a new purchase. So for a bunch of people, they're kind of seeing that. They're maybe getting the vibe of, oh, this is like a remaster for the PS5, but it's actually quite a bit more going on there. So everyone on all consoles, PS4 or PS5, are going to get the Iki Island Story expansion. And this is something you can start once you reach Act 2 of the game. And there's actually a really nice thing they've done here, where if you pre-order this, so this would be great for people who don't actually own the game, but if you pre-order this, well, you'll actually get regular base PS4 Ghost of Tsushima right the hell now.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and of course that will run on a PS5. So you can progress along that in PS5, and then transfer your save over to the director's cut version of the game, and jump straight into the new expansion content. So that's something that's really good. Now, also in the PS5, there are exclusive features. One that I think you're going to be quite excited about because Japanese lip sync. And the reason here is really interesting. They must have a bunch of pre-rendered animations or something like that going on the PS4 edition because they've said the reason why they can ship Japanese lip sync is, well, the PS5 is able to render the cinematics in the full quality that they want from their cinematics in real time. And that means they can just flip it over and do full Japanese lip sync. Now, I would kind of wonder why they can't just pre-render that and put it back into the PS4 version, but I assume there is some sort of technical reason, even though...
Yeah, I would imagine file size more than anything else for that, because if you're doing that for every cutscene in the game or every animation, then you've got, massive amounts.
Probably, yeah. Probably. And then the next thing, I'm very excited about this, is PS5 controller integration. So that's haptic feedback and also adaptive triggers. Also 3D audio. I have a Pulsefire headset, haven't used it, so it'll be interesting to see what that's like. Faster load times, so optimized for the new PS5 hardware. 4K resolution as well. But I should note, and they do note as well, 60 FPS, but the PS5 will play the PS4 back-compat version of this game. It will play the PS4 Pro's fidelity mode at 60 FPS.
Yeah,
so,
that'll be checkerboarded up to 4K.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, if they can get a true 4K 60...
definitely.
I mean...
Definitely.
Goddamn, this game will look absolutely stunning.
Yep.
Now, there is some good news, too. Some more good news. There's a free update coming that adds a new mode to the Legends mode. So there's something going on there. Also, target lock during combat, which I think has been hotly requested. And the ability to hide your quiver during gameplay, which... apparently, some guy spammed them on Twitter about. That's what they joked about on the PlayStation blog. But what this really leads us into, everyone, is the spicy bit, and that is monetization.
As always, like.
Yeah, isn't it always? And I say spicy because to some people this feels like a next-gen upgrade. But there is more going on. So on the PS4, you can just flat out buy this, $59.99 USD. On the PS5, $69.99 USD. And that is in alignment with Sony pricing their PS5 stuff higher. We've both noticed it. I mean, Returnal, great as a game that it is, it does feel pretty steep for that price point.
$70 is kind of steep for it, and even Ratchet and Clank. Like it stings when you buy them.
Yeah, it certainly does. But what gets interesting here is the upgrade path, because you almost need a flowchart for it. I mean, it's not super complicated, but basically, let's imagine you have a PS4. You have Ghost of Tsushima on your PS4. Well, if you want the PS4 Director's Cut, which basically means the Island expansion, that's $19.99. Now, $19.99 for a new story arc and a new location seems pretty decent to me. Now, if you want to upgrade your PS4 Director's Cut to PS5 Director's Cut, then it's another $9.99. Because $9.99 is roughly what Sony is placing on basically the PlayStation 5 Premium. Which, in fairness, if you're playing in PS5, you do get some pretty damn nice features.
Yeah, it's just nothing that's extremely selling versus just kind of the PS4 version.
Yeah.
Which is a bit kind of funky, to be honest.
And then if you're me, where I own the base game on PS4, I currently play it on my PS5, it will cost me $29.99 to get the PS5 Director's Edition. Now, I presume I would be able to buy the PS4 Director's Edition, or Director's Cut, and then play that on my PS5 if I wanted to save a tenner.
Definitely.
But I think losing out on the PS5 specific things, and we'll go into, when we get into the discussion part, a little bit more of that, I think that would kind of suck. And then there's that nice thing where, you know, if you pre-order it, well, you get the game now, you can play it, transfer your save over. And it's kind of interesting because it is similar to, you know, waiting for a Game of the Year edition of something, and that will always be a better deal than buying it at launch and then buying the DLCs as they come out or buying the season pass. So that basically is the news bit covered. I think as far as diving into this, working out Sony's strategy, there's a few things. Like, number one, the reactions that people have got. I think number two, next-gen upgrades are a totally new thing for the market. Right, they just didn't exist in the past. And I guess just number three, sort of what all of this stuff means, and just, you know, is it worth $10 for these extra PS5 things?
That's a very difficult one to answer, like.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing then, what do you think? Do you think people are right to be like, you know, a little bit feeling odd about this?
So, yes, because it's complicated for a start. Like, it's not super complicated, but it is not just as easy as, can I buy game now, please? Can I buy this game? It's, you know, you have to look and see a list of pros and cons for everything you're doing. But I think what makes it worse, like, the Director's Cut for $20 is perfectly fine. But the problem that I have with it is the $10 from the PS4 Director's Cut to the PS5 Director's Cut. And now, like, the Director's Cut's basically a Game of the Year edition by a different name, with them trying to sound all blockbustery and movie-like, which, given Ghost of Tsushima is like general presentation, I'll agree with. But it's like the way that they say, you know, the Japanese lip sync is a weird feature that isn't going to matter to a lot of people, but also to a decent few it will.
Yeah.
Like that would absolutely have me play on Japanese because it's set in Japan. It's a bunch of Japanese characters. Absolutely want the lip sync.
And I think stylistically as well, they positioned this as Kurosawa movie, but a video game. And I think you're going to have to get it in actual Japanese.
Yeah, so that feels like a feature that was missing as opposed to a good feature that's new, if you get what I mean.
I agree there, yeah.
Yeah. Then the controller integration is just good. Like, that is flat out a new feature. 3D audio as well, I think that's valued a lot less by people overall, because I've not seen them blown away by it in other PS5 games. But the faster loading times and 4K resolution is where I'm going to get it in a little bit into the weeds with it, because it already loads faster and runs at 4K, on the PS4 Pro. It's just the degree of that will be, like, stronger on the PS5.
I think this is what's actually important.
Yeah.
In my head, it is, have they done new work to justify this new spend?
Almost definitely.
So, yeah, that's it. It's like, you know, you wouldn't pay for a graphics upgrade. You know, let's just say you have, you know, a low or mid-level graphics card, and then you get, like, the next gen's best graphics card, you put it in your computer. Well, you'll be able to run the game at max settings, and the dev has done no extra work for that. Here, I think we're dealing with something different. So, on the faster loading times, the PS5 has its own unique, proprietary, and cool as fuck loading system. Where, I forget exactly how it works. I do remember when we really dove into this, but it's a bunch of, like, proprietary hardware and, you know, custom APIs and stuff that Sony have created. So it actually would be work to implement that in the game. It wouldn't just be like you are playing, let's just say you're playing World of Warcraft and you're running the game off a 5400 RPM hard drive, and then you put a SATA SSD in your computer, suddenly it loads faster. but Blizzard have done nothing. I think here they've actually done something.
Yeah, that's the entire point. That's why I'm kind of a little bit torn on it, because they've clearly done the work. They have put in the extra visual features that will make it look better on PS5, and they've put in the work to actually work with PS5 hardware to get that, because that would literally have them like rewriting how their game loads for the PS5. But unless, like, it depends on what we actually see out of it at the end, because I've seen like PS4 games load exceedingly fast on PS5 because they were already hyper optimized, because, you know, like Sony's first party devs are so good at that.
Yeah.
That like the PS4 loading times you get are like unbelievable for video games off a hard drive. So that moving to an SSD, you can see the speed immediately is way better. So it's like, will you get an extra 10% off your loading time, or will it cut 80% from the PS4 version running on PS5? That's where the value kind of gets a little bit weird, where as an overall product, absolutely worth more, but it's just a comparison will feel like, so you mean I'm getting it slightly better, which is technically true.
I think it will work if in Tsushima I, do a fast travel and, screen dips to black, dips back in, and I'm there instantly, and I basically haven't had the experience of a loading screen. In the same way that in Miles Morales, it's like that.
Yeah, I was going to say Miles Morales because, actually the big difference for me was the Spider-Man PS5 upgrade, like the original Spider-Man game, because the entire subway cutscene that they added for loading times on the original PS4, you never see it, because it is literally just, you press the fast travel and you're there, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like the screen barely dips to black before it's loaded everything back in.
Well, it's like how in even the Mass Effect remaster, Mass Effect 1 had its really long elevators because it was like loading in new assets, and they were probably assuming they were dealing with a 5400 RPM hard drive. Obviously terrible. But you play the new version of that game, you can skip those things. It's like you basically can mash the A button, and those elevator doors will open early, and you'll be there. Now, I guess what is interesting, though, and this is the bit that's got me, because while, experientially, it is worth the extra $10 for me to have all of these upgrades, especially if they do adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback really well, because those are things that I think could genuinely elevate the combat experience of this game and make it a better game. It's more responsive. You feel more at one with the sword, and I think that's kind of what all this stuff's about. But Xbox. So how much of what Sony are doing here would be categorized as optimized for Series S and X on Xbox and just be something that you get as a part of smart delivery? Because I think that's the big difference. You can play the latest Halo game with, the max amount of features that they can do on an Xbox One X, and then as soon as you get a Series S or a Series X, you'll get the maximum those consoles can do for free. And undoubtedly some extra work will have went in there, right?
That's the difficult part, because on the faster loading time and the resolution, absolutely, 100%. But because Xbox doesn't have any other features per se, like it doesn't have the adaptive triggers, it doesn't have the haptic feedback, you're not going to ever see that comparison be possibly made. At least until Xbox, because I know the rumors that they are working on a controller that actually is a next-gen controller that has similar features. I saw that rumor a month or so ago, I think. I've not seen anything followed up on it yet. Yeah,
they're super behind in that. It's the one, as we said earlier, it's the one thing where, that helps my PS5 feel like a more premium product than my Xbox Series X, even though I love the Series X.
Yeah, it's really hard to communicate to people until they get Astro's Playroom specifically in their hands, what that game can do. Even playing Ratchet & Clank is an absolute dream.
Beautiful game.
In terms of, walking across, sandy areas and just feeling the rain falling and hitting every aspect of your controller, being able to feel that and move is unbelievable. And that alone, in a combat heavy game, where if you start to feel parries, you feel bowstrings being drawn, that is genuinely going to make for a $5 to $10 better experience by itself in a way.
Yes, I absolutely, for how much, because I haven't played the full game, I played it for 4 or 5 hours when it came out, and I realized I want to wait for the PS5. And now, when I could play it, I know I want to wait for the director's cut, and that I will buy it, because new expansion and then the extra $10 for these features, to me it's 100% worth. And I think objectively it is worth that. But it's just that Microsoft have positioned themselves so aggressively in the market that what Sony can rightly, justifiably charge you for it seems like Microsoft are going to give to you for free because Microsoft basically know they're on the back foot and all they can really do is try to be as consumer friendly as they can and give you as good a deal as they can. Whereas, and why this doc was originally called Ghost of Tsushima, Sony swings their dick. The whole point of the Sony stuff just feels so ultra premium they can get away with it. Whereas for Microsoft, they're left playing a totally different game.
Yeah, I think that's like Xbox are the people who'll put a deep sale on because they know you'll go to Sony for the premium. That's how they're completely positioned in the market. And I think everyone, outside of literal or subjective quality of games, that's how the market's roughly leaning at the minute. But
yeah, like as a massive fan of Halo, I can definitely say that I think Sony's overall winning in the big exclusives department.
Yeah, the one thing that I actually do want to point out that's kind of, I don't know if I have it completely down right, but it's pre-order the island stuff and you have the director's cut, or is that just now? Is that if you pre-order the full game now?
Yeah, no, the island is later. The director's cut is the island.
Okay, for a second I thought you meant if you pre-order the director's cut upgrade island, then you'll get the full game, and it's like you can just get it all for $30 then. But
no.
Okay, so
that's just the upgrade path.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's called director's cut. In reality, it's a DLC with some nice tweaks, fixes, and PS5 editions that also happens to come with a free update that they're doing.
Yeah, so it is a Game of the Year edition, all timed very perfectly.
It is a Game of the Year edition, except that they did not sell the DLC standalone.
Yeah.
But they sort of are selling it sort of as a standalone upgrade path via the upgrade path thing. So basically, they are doing the DLC and the Game of the Year edition at the same time, but with an upgrade path. Now, overall, that will mean that I think I will have spent more money in this game because I bought it for 55 quid when it came out in the PS4 Pro. And I am now going to put whatever this ends up costing. It's 30 USD. Who knows what it will be in GBP.
Probably 30 quid.
Probably 30 quid. So 25, 30 quid, I will have paid more for this, which I think does just go to show good things come to those who wait, especially in the realm of gaming. Not that Sony do deep discounts on their first parties.
Well, I mean, they don't do deep discounts on their first parties, but also if you have PS Pro or PS Plus, and you have a PS5, you can just access basically their entire first party lineup, except for Ghost of Tsushima, which annoys me.
Yeah, but I think we all know why.
Yeah, 100%.
So there you go. I think that's it for this story. There's a lot to dive into, really, and I think we'll see more of this stuff from Sony as time goes on, and they try to develop more of these ultra premium IPs that basically it's going to be pretty damn hard for anyone else to compete with.
Yeah, they're going to ignore what the market standards are and just do whatever they think consumers will do. And sometimes that'll work in our favor, sometimes it won't.
Yep, because at the end of the day, they know their games are hot shit, and they are going to run their business like their games are hot shit. So it's a good thing for them. Their games are actually fucking brilliant.
Absolutely.
And on that big surprise, we will see you next time.
See you later.